Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to all the students for today's English class. I hope you are all ready and excited for a new lesson.
Today, we are going to explore a very interesting story. The title is The Sheikh's White Donkey. It's a curious title, isn't it? Makes you think what the story could be about.
So, before we start reading the story, let's look at what we will be able to do by the end of this lesson. It is always good to know our goals. By the end of our class, we will not only read and understand the story, but we will also think about some bigger ideas, like the difference between being wise and being tricky. And we'll also talk about a very important value, honesty.
Okay, now before we begin the story, I have a little question for you all. Let's get our brains working.
So here's a question for all of you. Can a donkey find a thief? What do you think? It sounds a little funny, no? Just think about it for a moment. There's no right or wrong answer. We will come back to this question.
All right, with that interesting question in our minds, let's dive into the story. Let's find out what happens with this special donkey.
Our story begins with a big problem. A traveler, who is part of a caravan, finds that his bag has been stolen, and inside the bag were 80 gold pieces, a lot of money.
Now, the leader of this caravan is a wise old man named Sheikh Mahmud ibn Musa. When he hears about the theft, he makes a promise to the traveler. He says, "Don't you worry. Before the evening, you will have your gold back."
So, what does he do? Well, his plan is quite unusual. He gathers all his 19 men and tells them that his wonderful white donkey is going to help them find the thief. A donkey? Can you believe it?
And this is not just any donkey. The sheikh tells his men, when the hand of the thief touches his tail, the donkey will speak to us. He says it's a magical donkey. Very interesting.
So one by one, each of the 19 men goes into a dark tent to pull the donkey's tail. Every single man goes in and comes out. But what happens? Nothing. The donkey does not make a sound. It is completely silent. The traveler must be getting worried now.
The donkey was silent. So, did the sheikh's plan fail, or is there something more? Let's move to the next part and see how this clever puzzle was actually solved.
The sheikh is not giving up. He has another instruction. He orders all his men to stand in a line and hold out their hands, with their palms facing up.
Now, this is the really clever part. The sheikh doesn't look at their hands. No. Instead, he walks down the line, and for each man, he bends down and he smells their hands, one by one. He is using his sense of smell.
So, was it magic? No, not at all. It was a very, very clever plan. Let's break it down. First, the sheikh secretly put some water with a minty smell on the donkey's tail. Okay? Then he told everyone the donkey was magical. This was to make the real thief scared. See? So the thief, because he was afraid of being caught, he didn't actually pull the tail. So his hands were the only ones with no minty smell. So simple but so wise, isn't it?
Now that we understand the sheikh's wisdom, it's our turn to be wise. Let's think about how we can apply what we have learned.
So, I want you to imagine, if you were the sheikh and someone's gold was stolen, what would you do? How would you solve this problem? This is a chance for you to think creatively and come up with your own clever solutions. Excellent ideas, everyone. Now, let's take a moment to reflect. What are the main lessons we can learn from this wonderful story? Let's think together. What did the story teach us about being honest? And what did it teach us about being clever or wise? Think about the thief's fear and the sheikh's calm, smart thinking. Here are the most important points from our lesson today to remember. First, wisdom is not magic. It's about using your mind to solve problems. Second, we see that fear makes guilty people make mistakes, and that shows us that honesty is always the best path. And finally, the sheikh showed us that careful observation is a very, very powerful tool. And I want to leave you all with one final question to think about. The sheikh's plan looked like magic, but we know it was wisdom. So, what is the real difference between wisdom and magic? That is something for you to ponder. So that brings us to the end of our lesson. Thank you all for your wonderful participation today. I really enjoyed exploring this story with you. We will see you in the next class. Goodbye, students.